Morning, all. All right, we got 6 games tonight in the National Hockey League. We've got 2 of them starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 Eastern, a half an hour later. The third game gets started a half an hour later. The fourth game gets started, and then we've got 2 games starting at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. So nicely spread out, and we'll see how things go tonight. So 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. What may end up being the game of the night is Florida and Ottawa. Ottawa's pretty far out at this point for only having 9 games left and being 7 points back, but mathematically they're still in this. Florida, on the other hand, they're only 3 points back, but still the road ahead is not easy for them either. So Florida won the first meeting between these teams on October 29th by a score of 5-3. The third and final meeting between these teams will be on April the 6th. On the Florida side, they're 36-30-7. Their last 10 games are 6-3-1, but they've lost 3 in a row in regulation. So that's the frustrating part for Florida is they get themselves right back in the hunt, get above the playoff line, and then promptly lose 3 in a row. They're 3 points back of Pittsburgh. As a result, they're 3 points ahead of Buffalo and Washington in the standings. On the Ottawa side, they're 35-33-5 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 3-6-1. They are 7 points back of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that final playoff spot in the East, they are 4 points ahead of Detroit. So they're closer to Detroit than the playoffs at this point. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres meet for the third and final time. I'm wearing Buffalo because they kind of have to win. So for Montreal, they won October 27th by a score of 3-2. On November 22nd, Buffalo won 7-2, thus the No Mercy Magnet. On the Montreal side, they're 29-38-6 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 3-5-2. They're 18 points back of Pittsburgh in that final playoff spot. They are 11 points ahead of Columbus at the bottom of the East. For Buffalo, they're 35-31-6 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 3-5-2, but they've won their last 2. They're 6 points back of Pittsburgh. They're 1 point ahead of Ottawa. Again, it's a bit of a schmoz in the East, but it does kind of feel like things have settled out a little bit from where they were a couple weeks ago. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific start between the New Jersey Devils and the New York Islanders. These teams have split their first 2 games so far this season as well. New Jersey won October 20th by a score of 4-1. The Islanders won December 9th by a score of 6-4. On the New Jersey side, they're 46-19-8 overall. Their last 10 games are 5-3-2. They are 3 points back of Carolina for that top spot in the division. They are 4 points ahead of the New York Rangers. It's likely they end up finishing second. But for the New York Islanders, they're 37-28-9 overall. Their last 10 games are 6-3-1. They're coming off of a couple of down games. They're looking to bounce back. They are 1 point ahead of Pittsburgh, and that number 2 wildcard spot, they are 4 points ahead of the Florida Panthers right now. But again, it doesn't feel like they're that secure in that spot. If Florida wins and the Islanders lose, that security kind of goes away there too. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, the Seattle Kraken and the Minnesota Wild. So Minnesota's first game since taking over first place in the division. I know it may not last, but hey, it's first place. So these teams split the first 2 meetings as well. They were close. A 4-0 win for Seattle on November 3rd, and November 11th it was a 1-0 win for Minnesota. So whoever scores first wins. Seattle 40-24-8 overall. Their last 10 games are 5-3-2. They're 3 points behind Edmonton, who have the number 1 wildcard spot, and they're 3 points ahead of the Winnipeg Jets, Edmonton is the number 3 team in the Pacific. They're the number 1 wild card, and Winnipeg's the number 2 wild card. There we go. Got that straightened out. So 3 points clear of Winnipeg. They can get to 5 points clear and pull themselves closer to Edmonton, depending on what happens with Edmonton and Arizona. On the Minnesota side, they're 42-22-9. Their last 10 games are 6-1-3. They're 1 point ahead of Colorado and Dallas. So, yeah, I mean, for Minnesota, Colorado, and Dallas, it's going to come down to this last 3 weeks here. And I honestly like Minnesota and Colorado's chances based on how they've been playing for a couple of months now. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start between those Colorado Avalanche and the Anaheim Ducks. The first meeting, Anaheim won January 26th, so I'm not putting a trap magnet here. To me, this game is, one that Colorado should win, especially after, Arizona gave them a tough time last time out, so they should be more set for this. April 9th is the third and final meeting between these teams. Colorado 43-23-6. Their last 10 games, they are 8-2. They're 1 point behind Minnesota and tied with Dallas, as previously stated. And so tonight, Kind of a big night. If Minnesota were to lose against Seattle, which could happen, Colorado with a win ends up first place in the division. Anaheim 23-40-10 overall. Their last 10 games are 2-6-2. They're 29 points behind Winnipeg and that final playoff spot. They're 2 points ahead of Chicago in the standings. So I'm sure there will be some Ducks fans who may be okay with them losing to Colorado tonight because visions of Connor Bedard are in their minds and all that fun stuff, right? 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start between the Edmonton Oilers and the Arizona Coyotes. Edmonton's going for the season sweep tonight, but it's their first trip to Mullet Arena. So they won the first game 8-2 on December 7th, so I'll just move it there. And then March 22nd, it was a 4-3 overtime win for the Edmonton Oilers. So the Oilers 41-23-9 overall. Their last 10 games are 7-2-1. They're 5 points back of the LA Kings. They're 3 points ahead of the Seattle Kraken. So they're still in the hunt for first in the division technically, but it does feel like that overtime loss against Vegas might have taken them out of the running. Arizona 27-34-13, easy for me to say. Last 10 games are 5-2-3. They're 18 points behind the Winnipeg Jets. They're 11 points ahead of the Anaheim Ducks. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one tonight. I don't count out the Arizona Coyotes at home. They have a bunch of wins at home, and who knows, right? Let me know your picks in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.